6 AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. Exi, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.
Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. And of course, make sure you do share it with your friends as well. But a bunch of markets to go through. We have had some interesting news this week. So there's been some changes to my bias as the week has progressed, and been some markets which coming into the week I was pretty bullish on. Some markets I'm looking to flip that bias completely. But we'll go through all of that and more. And if there's any particular time frames, markets you're looking at, trade opportunities, or if you're in a position and you do want to share it, drop it in the chat and we shall discuss and take a look. What's up, Tashi? Good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. So as always, we'll start with the USD side of things first. DXY, USD majors, and gold and silver, and we'll work our way from there. So to start things off, let's take a look at the old DXY, not DYX. So DXY, we've seen some upside. I was looking at a push higher this morning, and looks like it's kind of already happened. I might have missed the opportunity. Dropping to the 50-minute chart for it. I like the entry here, but I did miss that entry. I think that was like, yeah, about 5:45 a.m. and I'm not at the charts at that time, unfortunately. So yeah, price did make that move. I was looking to short euro, and in fairness, euro didn't really set up. I'm still interested in you shorting euro. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But yeah, I like the setup here. I think price has just about made some new highs. So it's a bit awkward now. I must admit, especially intraday, because we also have to be very careful with the higher time frame trend, which is looking pretty bearish. And we're coming into an area where a low high could fall. Now, am I looking to short the dollar here? Not really. I'm not liking the setup that much. I could see potentially us failing at highs and a bit of downside intraday, but I wouldn't necessarily be banking on a complete sell-off, especially with the impulsivity of that move. Really strong push. I like the correction. We've seen somewhat of a continuation. It hasn't blown me away, but we have seen price just about take out the highs there. So we could start to fail at highs. Now we are coming back into supply, so I would be quite careful of the longs as well. But again, would I be looking to short? No, especially after price taking out this low here, which is, you know, the market coming into a new phase. Every time the market creates a trend, I'm always looking for price to always come back and take out the prior low. So once price does that, now I kind of back away and either wait for the next pullback to happen or see if the market continues to sell off or maybe consolidate. I'm waiting for the market to show me its hand, basically. And right now with the dollar, we've had a pullback, but again, it's equally a double bottom, it's equally a rejection. It's like price ripped through the low and then pulled back. That's a different scenario. Now we've got price respecting the low and pushing up. So it is a nice place for a short there. But dropping to the intraday chart, let me invert that so I can see it from a bullish perspective. It's not a bad idea. I probably would wait for a bit more development. I did really like the longs this morning from this area, but unfortunately euro didn't quite do the job. And euro, this is what I was looking at for euro. Price to take out this high here on the 50-minute chart and then some sells. Because again, euro is definitely bullish in the higher time frames, but I like the short off the momentum we've seen this week, of course, with the massive rejection we saw after the Fed interest rate. Of course, price taking out major highs to our left. So I really like the momentum we saw. But of course, as we do push down, we are coming back into bullish territory. We have to be very, very careful because equally we could still put another higher low, and equally the market could still trend higher. So this morning I was keeping a very close eye on this area here. I wanted to see if price can run the highs there first. We had a lot of momentum here, potentially take out some early stops of some early sellers there, run the highs, and then give us the sell to go and take it back to the lows here. In respect, we haven't taken out the lows yet, so price might still go and do that move. It is asking a lot from the market, and if we do create a new low, I would say that setup's now invalid. I'm not really interested in still shorting the market at that area after we take out the low. But of course, that hasn't quite done, the market hasn't quite done that yet, so I'm still quite interested with this area, but we would need that up move first back to 1.1793, see how price reacts. If things look good, then I'll look for the continuation, and also have to keep a close eye on the dollar as well. But as we do push back into these areas, this is back to bullish territory. Possibly price could be getting ready for a higher low. When I'm looking for shorts for euro, it's not necessarily a long-term bias because the trend is still very much to the upside. I just like the intraday opportunity for the short. This could very much be price getting ready to form a higher low to attack higher prices. I'm just not seeing the opportunity for that quite yet. So maybe if we do have one more up move, come back down, that might interest me, but I'm not the biggest fan of the pullback. It's nice and corrective, but just not how I want it to be in terms of my entries. I do like pullbacks which are a little bit more staggered and have bigger swings. I find the probability of price forming that low and pushing back up is a lot higher versus when the pullbacks are quite kind of rapid like this. A bit harder to catch the low. But yeah, I'm going to keep an eye from both perspectives for euro. This area here from a bullish perspective and the highs there from an intraday short perspective. At the moment, not really trading at an area which I like to buy or sell. But if you can run the highs there, I think that's interesting. Or push to the lows, I'll keep an eye out for some longs. Pound USD was very interesting. That one sold off quite aggressively after the interest rates yesterday. Price had a really aggressive push down. So you got some USD strength followed by some pound weakness. So pound to start the week off was very, very bullish, looking for buys, looking for price to smack into 1.37, 1.375, maybe even some new highs past this point. But after the Fed, after Bank of England, that has completely turned around and price is now trading back below this area. I've been speaking a lot about these two levels here for pound, saying price is just trapped between these two levels. We're waiting for price to break out, and then hopefully we'll get a bit more information in terms of the next big swing and really find some opportunities, because I didn't really want to trade pound USD inside that range unless I was shorting the high or buying the low. I wasn't really prepared to be looking for opportunities in that area because it's so congested. After the breakout, I was happy to look for some longs, but of course now that price is back below, this looks like a big fake out to me, especially with the big exaggerated wick to the upside. Looks like prices run the highs, trap people on the wrong side, and now potentially we could be getting ready for a bit of a sell back to the lower end. So I'm slightly a bit more bearish now for pound. I wouldn't be looking to sell it now because of course price is just trading at support right now. But I do like the idea of a pullback. I've got a couple areas which I'm keeping an eye on, which are these two areas. This area, if I dropped like a 50-minute chart, was a very nice consolidation, which gave us a really strong drop. So I'm looking to see if price can potentially pull back into that and then give us some shorts for a continuation. Or if we have a slightly bigger pullback, I'll probably look at the hourly chart for this, which is, again, just another retest of the same level. So, of course, resistance over there, resistance over there, resistance over there. Now looking to see if that can act as resistance again. And, of course, you do have this kind of up move, break to the downside confluence. So acting like an area of supply in that same area as well. So I like both zones there for pound USD to the downside. One's a bit more intraday, one's a bit more swing, because if you do find a successful entry here, you could be looking to try and swing it back to these lows. So you do have that range to trade there potentially. So you could be looking at a pretty big risk reward play. But either which way, I'm not convinced with the buys for pound USD. I said coming into the week, if you do get the breakout here, price does need to stay above this level for me to maintain that bullish bias. Of course, that has not happened. Price is firmly broken below, so my bullish bias has been at least put on pause for now. If price does recover it, I'll reanalyze and reinvestigate, but I'm not looking to buy pound USD after that move. In terms of dollar CAD, I still do have a short bias for this one, but again, I'm playing it cautious. Price is still respecting support very, very well here. I'm looking to see potentially if the market's going to put another lower high in. One over there, second, could we be looking at a third potentially forming? I like this area here, nice consolidation, really aggressive move down, and altogether a very slow corrective move up. It's not like price has bounced and really aggressively pushed up. It's really corrective, similar to the move here, and you can see what happened after that, a really aggressive move back down. Are we looking at potentially the same characteristic and the same setup forming for a push back down? Well, I need a bit more information to judge that, but we are certainly on the same path. So keeping a very close eye on dollar CAD as we come back into this supply area, because of course that's where the momentum came from. Hourly charts still looking pretty corrective, but I do think price has probably got a bit more upside left. And then this is the area 1.383, 1.385 is where I'm going to be keeping a close eye on dollar CAD to see how price does develop in this area, and then potentially some shorts follow through. What I was really waiting for dollar CAD this week was the break of this low, similar to how pound USD broke the resistance. I was kind of hoping dollar CAD could do the same thing, break support aggressively, then look for some pullbacks back to the lows here. So that is really the plan there with dollar CAD in terms of really good probability opportunities, because in that case, that's a clear sign buyers are not holding anymore and we're seeing conviction lower, then I can bet on that continuing. So yeah, dollar CAD, my eyes are focused here and on the retest, of course, not quite there yet. It is Friday, so this is probably, if not for next week, maybe the week after, because we still need to form the lower high and come back down. So not so worried about that opportunity just yet, but keeping an eye on that lower high potentially forming. Aussie dollar, I do think there's more downside for this one as well. I was keeping an eye on some shorting opportunities for this one on an intraday level, kind of in a similar fashion to euro dollar. I would say that price looks really corrective here. So there's a clear sign that we're running out of some juice, but I really like how price formed that lower high and a really aggressive move down. So I'm looking to see maybe if we go and put another lower high in for a drop lower. Price right now is trading back below this high. So is this potentially another fake out? Is this potentially another top? If I zoom to the daily chart, you can see how corrective the market is. Has the market just going to sweep the highs to put another high in before coming back down? We could see that happen. Of course, that would rely on USD doing a complete U-turn and becoming strong again. And of course, maybe some Aussie weakness to help that out as well. But where we're positioned is very critical, because if this is going to be a high similar to what we did here and so on and so forth, there could be a lot of downside there for Aussie back into these lows. So I quite like the idea of shorts, especially again with the momentum we've seen. But it is still, excuse me, it is still counter trend. So I would be quite careful with the shorts as well. Same with Euro, same with DXY longs as well. I would be quite careful with them because momentum is still not really in our favor yet. Yes, recently the momentum has been since like Wednesday, but that could change pretty quickly as well. But I am looking at something like this for Aussie dollar, especially with how corrective price is there. New Zealand dollar, really aggressive move down. Again, New Zealand has been very, very weak since the news on Wednesday, was it? Or Thursday? Wednesday. A really aggressive move down. And I was looking to see if price could form a higher low here and potentially look for another bounce and take price higher. I mean, we could still do that, but this has been a really aggressive move down. So that would put me off the trade. I wanted price to kind of start slow down, become a bit more corrective. Then I'll be more intrigued with the buys. But this was really aggressive momentum, which does put me off. I mean, it's still in a bullish area, so I wouldn't really be looking to sell New Zealand dollar. But would I be trying to try and catch the low of that? No, not really either. Maybe if we start to consolidate, start to respect support, maybe show some strength with some momentum, like, there could be some pullbacks after that, but it's just a bit of a difficult opportunity with how aggressive we've made that move. So yeah, New Zealand dollar was somewhat liking it yesterday. The momentum did continue. I mean, we are starting to slow down now, but it's not enough, especially taking into account how we made the high and aggressive that move was. So we are still in the bullish area, so I would suggest keep an eye. I would wait for at least maybe price to form support over the next couple of days before considering to buy. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised if you just go and break structure completely and get back to the lows there. So I would be quite careful with New Zealand dollar. In terms of gold, gold's interesting as well. Still trading at that demand zone. So I'm still pretty bullish on gold. Again, looking at the bigger picture, the market's been trending, very, very aggressively to the upside. So until I see price start to break structure or I see some really aggressive selling pressure, I'm not really going to look to change that bias or try and look for any counter trend opportunities just yet. All I'm seeing is really corrective behavior on the way down. Price still respecting demand zones. This is still very much a bullish opportunity for gold. So dropping to like an intraday chart. I mean, I do like how, again, we had a really aggressive move yesterday, but price just respected the low and came back up. I do think if you're looking for another long, you probably do want to see another run to the lows because that's where the best place would be in terms of positioning, in terms of finding an entry, in terms of finding a stop loss, making sure you're away from all the noise. Trying to look for some opportunities within here could be a bit tricky. I mean, maybe a run back to the lows here could be interesting. That could be a nice place for a buy. Banking on another higher low forming. But again, the risk is that price could make that move there as well. But you could always re-enter as long as you're looking for a positive risk reward. There's nothing wrong with potentially getting stopped out on a good trade, potentially to win the next one. But yeah, I do have a bullish bias on gold. I like the wicks on the 4 hour as well. I like the close we had a couple candles ago too. And for the most part, this looks super corrective to me. So I would expect us to continue higher. So that's still very much the plan with gold. And in terms of silver, silver already seen some conviction higher. Again, a couple candles ago, we broke out of this consolidation. For me, that was a bit of a statement. And it looks like price has already had a decent retest with the wick there in the last 4 hour candle as well. And it's a very similar setup to gold. Lovely consolidation, healthy breakout. Price has now come back for the retest of that same zone. We formed the consolidation, a lot of wicks to the downside, really implying that demand zone is doing its job. And then we've just seen a strong candle closing above resistance there. So in terms of an intraday opportunity, yeah, I would suggest if price can maybe come back and respect the lows again, that would be a very nice entry. Maybe even dip slightly below. Nice area there. All you're looking for is the continuation of this bullish leg. There's your first drop, second drop, and there's your buy. You can see price has been pretty continuous with these higher lows. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Pretty continuous with these higher lows, ever so slight over there. Now we're starting to pick up the pace a little bit. It'll be nice to see if we can catch one over there around 41.9. Got nice trendline confluence backing that up, and that's your nice intraday opportunity there. If you're looking for a bit more of a swing, it's a bit difficult because risk reward's a little bit tight. You got the highs right next to you there. Of course, you probably would bank on price breaking through them and continuing, but still equally price could roll over. At least intraday, you can still take advantage of a decent chunk and have a decent reward there, even if price does fail at highs. So yeah, gold, silver looking pretty bullish. USD question marks on that one. But that is my take for now. Okay. Where was we? Raphael, what's up, my man? Euro, pound, USD, which short is better now? Good question. I'll go compare them in a second. Lebsy, cheers, no problem. Yeah, we can take a look at New Zealand CHF as well for you. Interesting shorts, no problemo. We can take a look. Bashi, my man, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. I appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe. It does really help out. Rexus, what's up? Hope you're doing good. It has been a while. Hope you've been well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dima, as always, welcome to the stream. Hope you're good. Ahmed FXG, what is up? Welcome. Yeah, we can take a look at Euro as well. Tony Gold, what's up, my man? Welcome. John, what's up? Hope you're doing good. Yep, Swiss Yen, we can take a look, no problem. Hey, Pashi, congrats. Does that mean you got the situation sorted out then with the passport and stuff? I forgot to ask how did that go. But congratulations, my man. Good going. Okay, I'll quickly go through our perps platform, and let me get the link out. Okay, guys, so if you're interested in participating in a challenge, well, not challenge, competition, we are running competition on our perps platform under Zentrix AI. It allows you to trade perps. At the moment, we've got a bunch of cryptocurrencies you can trade, but there will be FX, commodities, indices coming onto the platform very, very soon. You can still sign up to participate in the challenge. The link is in the chat there. You just drop your email if you're interested. Again, just a bit of fun, no real risk involved, and there are cash prizes for the best performing traders. So if you do well, potentially you can walk away with a reward there. But if you haven't checked out the platform, I do have a link to it in the chat, and I have a video running through the platform, how it works and how to use it. But it's completely decentralized. You can connect your Solana or crypto wallet to the platform and begin trading straight away, whether on the demo server or the live server. And if you don't have a crypto wallet, you can use your email as well. But it's a platform we've been working quite some time, and one of the key features is incorporation of AI. In the top left there, you do have your own personal agent, your own personal assistant, which will analyze markets, provide setups, look at sentiment analysis as well, and provide you with extra kind of information going into whichever market you're looking to trade. So I highly recommend to go check it out. We are running a challenge or competition on the platform, so I do make sure you go run it and check it out. And if you're interested, drop your email in the chat. Not the chat, sorry, the full. Get my words mixed up. Doing backflips, nice. I didn't know you could do a backflip, Bashi. Okay, yeah, we can take a look at GJ as well. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll put it in the description for the next video, so you can just grab it there, because it's a few videos ago. Okay, so we'll start with Euro versus Pound, then we'll take a look at New Zealand Swiss, and we'll take a look at Pound Yen as well, and Swiss Yen. Okay, so Euro versus Pound, which one is the better short? I would say, I'll probably say Pound USD actually. I really liked Euro this morning. Price was around here, like, yeah, 7 a.m. So I really liked it this morning because price had this kind of resistance, equal highs here building up. So I was looking for price to run the highs and then come back down. Very similar to the Pound USD long trade I took earlier this week. Looking for price to have one more leg up before we do push down. And that's where I wanted to position myself short and then hopefully take advantage of a push back to the lows. Because of course we have seen a pretty consistent trend now and a really commanding move yesterday. You know, price came back into that supply and really rejected it and had a really aggressive sell-off. So that's what made me bearish coming into today, particularly for Euro USD and looking for continuation. And also DXY was setting up very well too, but DXY kind of left me in the dust a little bit. There was a nice low formed here before the move up. In a similar fashion to what I was looking for Euro to do. You can see price kind of had that dip below the support and then took off. This happened, yeah, half five in terms of the entry. So wasn't at the charts at the time, but again, I don't trade the DXY. I just use it as a reference anyway. So it's not like it's an opportunity I would have taken advantage of. But it was nice to see Euro and the DXY kind of in sync. So I was kind of hoping Euro do the same. Unfortunately, not the case. We haven't taken out the lows yet. So technically, the setup's still valid. We could still run to the highs and then have that move down. So I'm going to keep a close eye on that for Euro. But at the same time, I have to keep a close eye on this area because Euro is still very much in a bullish trend. We're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. So if I do look to short Euro, this definitely has to be an area which I do pay a lot of attention to because equally price could still form a higher low and the trend could still very much be to the upside. We've seen some aggressive momentum over the past couple of days, but it hasn't done anything in terms of shifting the trajectory of the larger trend. We haven't broken through any key structure. I wouldn't really argue that this selling pressure has been anything really, really aggressive. Yeah, sure, we had an aggressive sell-off-ish after the Fed interest rate, but after that, it has been relatively quite flat. So I do like intraday positions because you're only in for a short while and you're out. So I like the shorts for euro on that basis. In terms of the bigger trend, 4-hour daily, everything is still bullish. So I have to be very, very respective of that area. Pound USD, on the other hand, I do like the shorts a little bit more actually now, because this had a massive fake out of the high this week. And basically all my focus has been for pound anyway for the past few weeks is what price has been doing between resistance and support. And for the most part, we've just been fluctuating up and down. And we've had this massive fake out over there, which price recovered, saw a nice big move up. And then we've had another big fake out this week, which looks like we've seen, or at least gonna see, a move back down. So what I'm looking at pound USD is trying to take advantage of this move now. Potentially buyers caught on the wrong side, and now we've dipped back below the key level, the key high of the range. Looking for pullbacks and more downside is the play. Unless, of course, price does break back above, then I'll reinvestigate. But for now, this looks like somewhat of a big head and shoulder pattern. I'm looking to see if I can go and short that right shoulder, whether it's the retest of this zone here or the retest of this area, which lines up pretty well with the high. Either which way, as long as price stays below, that's the idea I have with pound. So pound USD, I am leaning a bit more towards this pair now, just because euro, we've got that support area and that trend line area, which you have to be careful of. And to some degree, we've already had a bit of a sell. Pound USD, of course, has been pretty bearish this morning, but it has left behind a really nice zone if we can pull back into. I wouldn't mind trying to catch the highs. Or, of course, if you have a deeper pullback, I'll probably look at the hourly chart for this one, trying to retest the highs there for a sell. That equally looks good to me. And if things work out very well, could see a push all the way back to 1.337 roughly, back towards this area here. So I like the risk reward there too. But yeah, pound USD, not convinced here. Massive move up, came straight back down. That is a big fake out to me. So I'm looking at more downside in the next few days with pound USD as well. Of course, this will depend on the DXY too. So I'm going to have my eyes peeled on this one. At the moment, again, we're approaching areas of supply, areas where a low high could form. I'm not really looking to try and short the dollar there, but I have to be a bit careful. We might sell off a bit before we do buy, so need to keep an eye on that. I'll take a look at New Zealand CHF, then I'll go through Swiss yen. So with New Zealand CHF, if I can spell it correctly, there we go. So with New Zealand CHF, you said you're looking for, okay, you're interested in shorts around 0.468. 0.468, that's there. Which basically lines up with a break and retest, more or less. If I scoot that across, about, yeah. Let me look at the bigger picture. I mean, it does look like price is likely to go and take out the lows here. I mean, after all, New Zealand CHF is in a very aggressive bearish trend. You know, we've just been falling out the sky since here pretty much. I mean, you could go back even further, but recently, since the 22nd of Feb 2021, price has just been in a massive downturn and really aggressively in the past few months here as well. So looking to short is definitely not a bad idea. And I'd say the likelihood of this low being taken out is pretty high. The fact that we haven't seen any convincing bullish momentum step into the market, and we've just been seeing lower high after lower high, the odds are that price is probably going to run the lows. So I don't mind looking to short. I think it's a little bit early, at least for my liking. Of course, I can't see into the future. Maybe price does successfully retest that and continue. I'd rather wait for some type of deeper pullback before looking to short. I would actually be a bit more keen around this area here, which kind of lines up with this support level there too. This way, I kind of get into the market a little bit later and probably after a slightly deeper pullback. That's where I'll be a little bit more confident shorting New Zealand CHF from, because naturally, I don't really want to be getting into short, especially after price just takes out a low. That's always a little bit of an area which I don't like getting involved in, looking for sales, especially when the trend is quite bearish, because that's an area which we could see a little bit of noise happen. So yeah, I do like the idea. Personally, I would wait for a slightly deeper pullback, 0.46980 roughly into that zone. Probably some entries, maybe like an hourly chart. I think that could look nice, hourly, maybe 30-minute as well. We've also had a pretty aggressive double bottom here and a strong shift there this morning too. So looks like support is holding pretty well. So yeah, I think it's a little bit early, around 0.468. Again, you could give it a go because I'm sure you've got your reasons of why you're looking to short there. Don't want to talk you out the trade, but of course I'm just going to give you my honest opinions on what I'm looking for this one. I would be bearish, yes. I do think that low is likely to be taken out, but I would look for a slightly deeper correction, and this is an area which I'd be a little bit more confident with. And if I get a bit of a Fibonacci in play, we do have the 50% in that area, which is naturally a healthy area for a pullback. So yeah, I would suggest keep an eye on that area. If the first area doesn't do its job, then I would say keep an eye on that for a second opportunity for a short. But yeah, New Zealand CHF still looking pretty bearish. I think CHF pairs across the board have been looking pretty bearish. So I do think lower prices are still likely. In terms of Swiss yen, Swiss yen's been very, very bullish. Very, very bullish. You know, very consistent higher highs and higher lows. We've just seen new highs past this area, and the market's had a bit of an aggressive move back down. So it's a tricky one because we're at all-time highs, so it's always going to be a little bit sensitive when we're trading at this area. Of course, the market's been very bullish, and we could be looking at a big break and retest opportunity. So there's your resistance, and if I take that across, it looks like we're coming back to retest it as support right now. So naturally, buys do make sense. This was a pretty aggressive move, so that would make me a little bit hesitant in terms of jumping into some buys straight away. I like my corrections to be a little bit slower. Look at this 15-minute chart. Yeah, that is a little bit aggressive for my liking, especially where we're trading as well. If this was like below the high, so if this happened like over here, I wouldn't be that skeptical. It's because price is just taking out major highs. You know, these are the all-time highs. Price has been failing to break through this for some time as well. So we just ripped through this, and now we've had a really aggressive push back down. That does make me a bit uncomfortable. If it was a bit slower, I would just be expecting this pattern to continue. But because it's aggressive and because of where we're located, it will make me a little bit hesitant to jump into the buys there. But I wouldn't be looking to sell just yet either. If I'm going to sell, it's because price breaks back below, and there might be some counter trend opportunities looking something like that. So I'd wait for a little bit more downside before really talking about the shorts. But if you are looking for longs, it does make sense in this area. It's just I don't like the way price moved to get there. That would probably put me off the trade. But if you are looking at shorts, I'll say as long as price can stay above this area, I'll probably look for another push to the low, then a buy. That could be a nice opportunity. But yeah, that aggressive move, I don't like it, to be honest. And especially where we're located, not particularly great. I mean, I really don't like it when price does take out a major high. Normally, that's my time to stay back. But because it's an all-time high, it's always a little bit more tricky. So yeah, personally, I would stay away from Swiss yen for now. I want a bit more information, see what price is going to do. Is the trend still healthy? Let me see price take out highs. Then I wouldn't mind the next pullback as long as it looks healthy. Is price potentially topping out? You know, have we done our job? Is it now to see a new phase in the market? Well, I'll allow for price to come crashing back down, and then I'll look for pullbacks after that. But yeah, it's a little bit sensitive at that region there for Swiss yen. So personally, a bit awkward for me. Okay, so which pair should we take a look at next? Okay, we can take a look at gold. What's up, Gerald? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, we can take a look at gold and pound yen. I forgot about pound yen. We'll take a look at pound yen as well. In a sell on Swiss yen. Okay, 186.9. Okay, you're in a sell 186. Okay, you're looking pretty good then. 186.9 is probably, yeah, around there. Okay, so you basically caught the high. So yeah, what's the plan for the trade then? I mean, I think you're positioned pretty well because if this is going to be the top, if we are going to come crashing back down, then you're positioned very, very well for that. Of course, if price is going to go against you, it's probably going to be from in and around here. So that's where my focus would be. If you're short from here, then I would suggest this is a good area to maybe take some partials, move a stop loss to break even, just to protect yourself, because if the buyers are going to be successful, it's probably here. If we do come crashing back below that, I don't really see the buyers coming back up for a while. So this would be an area to keep an eye, and if we do break through, you're looking pretty good. But yeah, really nice entry. Okay, I'll go through pound yen and gold. So with pound yen, yeah, pound yen really aggressive move down. This one I said be careful yesterday because we were looking pretty bullish. We had this lovely candle here. I said be careful with this one because every time price does take out a high recently, if I just map out every time price made a new high, you can see what happened. Price came crashing back down as soon as it got took out. And that's exactly what happened again yesterday. So you can see price creates a high, takes it out, comes back down. Takes out the high, 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 comes back down. So it's a sensitive area. It doesn't mean we'll do this forever, which is why I said if we are going to break out and really set pace, then I do want to see another strong bullish candle to kind of break that pattern, because we'll take out a high and come back down. So if we were to take out a high, don't come back down and keep pushing up, well, that's a change in the pattern. That's a change in the market kind of characteristic, and now we can be looking at more aggressive pullbacks for pound yen. But of course that didn't happen yesterday, and we came crashing back down. And yeah, pound yen is just in a very sensitive area as well. Looking to the left, major resistance here, which price has been failing to break through. If I go to the weekly chart, you'll see that in a better light there as well. So yeah, this could actually end up being a really aggressive double top. Let's not forget that. We are still failing at highs. Price could still go through something like that. So I would suggest pound yen is just in a very awkward place right now where the longer term trajectory is still kind of mixed. I can see price breaking to the upside, and that's the case. That's my target. I can see price potentially failing and forming a big double top and coming back to lows here as well. So I'm not quite there yet with a solid bias. I was hoping we could break to the upside this week so I could be looking for buys, but we just haven't seen that conviction. It looked at one point we might get it, but we just left a big wick there as well. So for pound yen, I would actually be keeping an eye on a sell, to be honest. It looks like price has just gone and broken through this low here as well. I know it's only just by a wick, but the fact that we keep seeing that move happen and price is now seeing more aggressive selling pressure enter the market as well, that does make me think bearish now. So for pound yen, I would be looking at shorts somewhere around here. Of course, right now, I still say this is bullish territory, so I wouldn't be taking shorts there. But let's say if we can get a nice corrector push up, I don't mind shorts in this kind of light. Sort of like a head and shoulder pattern. Bit of a reach though. So yeah, pound yen, I would start be shifting my bias to a more bearish outlook. Yeah. More bearish outlook. It's still aggressive trade because I would still say that trend is up, but it's a super corrective market. It's not like it's an aggressive trend like gold, for example. We're not shorting gold here. We're shorting a very corrective uptrend, which is failing at highs every single time. So there's a good chance we could put a lower high in, but I need to study how that pullback does play out. If it's aggressive, I'll back away. If it's slow and corrective, sure, that could be something to look to trade. So yeah, pound yen looks like we're potentially topping out. I want to see how the weekly candle does close as well, because to me it looks like it's very, very flat there and we could roll over. But that's my 2 pence on pound yen. In terms of gold, yeah, gold I'm still quite bullish on. No signs of us selling off just yet. Again, we still do have this area which price is respecting pretty well. You can see all those wicks there to the downside. Still very much a bullish market to me. So I wouldn't be getting excited with the shorts just yet. In terms of long in the market, that's where it's a little bit tricky because At the moment, we're approaching this counter trend line. I wouldn't suggest now's the best time to be jumping into some longs. I would say if we do get another push back to lows, that's probably where you want to be looking for opportunities for a buy. This is where you want to find your entries. That's where you want to put your stops. And that's where, you know, the direction you want to be looking to trade. You could probably wait for a break of this. Let's say if we get a big candle breaking above, that could be a nice entry. Maybe your risk reward's a little bit not optimal in terms of waiting for the breakout. If you have a stop loss here, for example, targets back to highs, you might even be looking at a negative risk reward there, maybe a 1-to-1. An entry here with stop loss there, you know, you could be looking at 1-to-1 just back to here alone. A push there could be looking at 3, 4, 5 potentially. So that will give you a better risk to reward opportunity, but of course a bit more aggressive at the lows. But we're seeing clear signs that support is holding. So should we get there again, as long as we can continue that theme, I think that's a great place for a buy. But yeah, I'm looking at gold. I'm pretty bullish on this one. I like the close we had a couple candles ago. It hasn't done anything in terms of breaking structure, but I'm seeing a lot of failure to break lower, and now I'm seeing some strength with the buyers. And of course, the fact that we're trading at a very significant area does make me expect more upside. If we were to come crashing down and break through this, something like that, that's when I'll turn bearish, at least for maybe a day or two. But until then, I do fancy more upside with gold. Okay, so hey, Innocent, what's up? Seems USD is going to be strong for a while before it can be. Hey, appreciate it. Thank you. Like and share, giving us very nice analysis. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, drop a like, subscribe. All that does really help out. So appreciate it. Thank you for that message. But yeah, it does look like USD is gaining some strength. I'm not too sure about the long-term move. It's still early to say. You know, looking at the dollar, I don't really have that long-term bias just yet. I mean, if I look at the DXY right now, yes, we are respecting lows. Yes, we've had a bit of a bounce, but would I suggest that, okay, DXY is going to do something like this? Yeah, I don't really have much evidence to support a move like that. I kind of want to play it day by day, really, with the dollar for now, until I can kind of make out what price is trying to do. Is this a bounce at, you know, at lows? Is price rejecting lows, potentially forming a big double bottom for a reversal? It could be. It's just a natural bounce before price later goes and breaks the low and the trend continues. That could be as well. I can see both scenarios happening equally there, really. So I'm kind of playing it day by day until I get a clearer picture of what dollar's trying to do. And of course, for today, I would have a bullish bias, seeing what the DXY has given us and seeing what some of the USD pairs have given us. Although we have kind of already seen the move play out, so I would relax that bullish bias now, especially going to the New York session, because that could shift. This was the move I really liked this morning. Happened a little bit before I got to the charts, so I wasn't there for it, and then didn't really set up on Euro how I wanted to anyway, but we can discuss that shortly. But yeah, very nice move to the upside, but now that price has just about pinched the high there, now it's kind of, okay, what's the next phase now for the dollar? You know, are we going to start to fail at highs and maybe come New York sell off? We could do, especially because we're not really seeing much momentum. So I could see price doing that. In terms of the euro dollar, I was looking for price to go and take out the highs here and then give us the sell. I quite liked how we're kind of just very sideways, very range bound. So I kind of was waiting for an up move before the short, but we didn't see that. We had a very slow corrective push down. Unfortunately, it looks like price is going to take out the lows now. But yeah, dollar bias for today, especially for the London session, was definitely bullish. Going to New York, I'll probably still say bullish, but I would be careful because I'm not really seeing an opportunity to trade it, especially as we come into lows. Maybe on like a 1 minute chart, you know, like a pullback here. You know, we might still see another run back to highs here, and that could be a nice short there. Got a nice supply zone there as long as we don't break structure. Looking for another lower high. So like a very intraday chart, you might find something. But again, I don't really want to drop lower than the 15 for a trade. So yeah, that's kind of my take for the dollar today. But trajectory next coming weeks, I think I'll wait for the weekend and then kind of reanalyze from there. But even coming into the weekend, if today doesn't do much, yeah, there's not much I can do with that going to next week. I'll still probably play it day by day until I can get a bit more information. Yeah, I could see that happening. LFTJ, DXY strength is just for a while before bearish continuation. I can see that happening. Yeah, John, if you're ready in the sells, I'll just keep a very close eye in terms of that level I just mentioned for Swiss yen. I'll just keep a very close eye on that level because I could very much see price bouncing from there if the trend, of course, is going to continue, because you caught some really nice shorts in terms of the position. But let's not forget, this is a very bullish market. So you always have to be very cautious as price does come into support. And you kind of have to have the mentality of, I'm expecting price to eventually go against me. So I need to be quite cautious, because more often than not, when you are taking shorts in a bullish market like this, that will be the case. Of course, every so often you might catch the high of a trend and catch the reversal, but you can't necessarily bank on yourself doing that, at least more often than not, because that won't be the case. So I would suggest coming into the support level here, keep an eye. If you do start to see momentum start to pick up, you can just look to either exit a trade or close a portion or trail stops, however you want to manage it. If you can get the breakout of that area, then you're looking pretty good. If price can see some momentum below this, then there might be a bit more downside, back to some of these lows here, and you can kind of maybe hold the trade a bit further, but that's your first obstacle. Okay, looking for a buy for BTC, but not today due to swaps. Makes sense. And the 4-hour trend, okay, we can take a look at Bitcoin. Thoughts on gold? Yeah, just went through gold. It seems bullish to me, so I do think more upside. No, it's definitely struggling. It's definitely struggling. We need that kind of conviction to break the counter trend line, which I just mentioned over there. It will need some energy to break through the counter trend line. I don't think we got news today for gold. For USD, I think we got CAD news later, but I don't think any more USD news this afternoon. So maybe it's one of those days where we just kind of just plateau a little bit at the trend line. Maybe Mondays could be where something interesting happens, or Tuesday. But yeah, I'm still seeing clear rejection lower. This still looks like a counter trend move to me. Until price does this, that's when my bias will switch. Until I see a clear break through that structure. But until then, I'll still have a bullish bias. I might not necessarily be looking to trade it, but I would be looking at buys for gold. Okay, so I'll have a look at dollar BTC, then we'll take a look at dollar CAD as well for MD Summer, no problem. No problem, Rex is happy to help. If I have missed out a pair, let me know. Don't think I have. I looked at pound yen, didn't I? Okay, so in terms of BTC, so yeah, with this one, still quite bullish. We are looking a little bit dry though in terms of momentum. We are kind of plateauing a little bit. You can see the wicks there to the upside. We had some strength last week, but that has kind of hit a bit of a wall at the moment. I did really like the retest of this area coming into the week, so that's kind of what I was hoping for. Didn't really see that happen. Had a slight pullback, but not enough to test that area. So going forward with BTC, yeah, I do like the buy still, but I think I probably would still wait for that bigger move here, 113, just because this looks really, really flat to me. So I'm not too sure about getting opportunities here, just with all the momentum being kind of non-existent right now. We had a lovely breakout here. I still want to kind of find the pullback of that for a move higher. And then for targets, I would look at like 120k. Really solid resistance, not necessarily banking on new highs for BTC, but very, very significant resistance, big psychological level as well. We've got that conviction here. I do think a push to 120 is not asking too much there from BTC, but we're looking quite flat, very corrective now. So I do think pullbacks are likely before we do continue higher. And yeah, I'm not quite convinced in this area. Not quite convinced here. I like it there. Not quite enough for me to get involved. In terms of dollar CAD, so dollar CAD again having a very significant bounce off support. I'm pretty bearish on dollar CAD still, and just in terms of looking at the bigger market and especially where we're trading on the weekly chart, very significant resistance to our left here, which price has done a pretty good job at respecting. There's your test, almost over there, another one over there, another one over there. I'm looking to see if we can do that again. If that level does hold, there's a lot of room to the downside for dollar CAD. Back to these lows, back to these lows. I can see price really ripping to the downside in the long run here. So dollar CAD really bearish on. I do like what I'm seeing, but we are bouncing at key support. So it's either I do find a lower high here and we start shorting, or I wait for price to break support, then short afterwards. This would be the safer, more conservative opportunity because, of course, you're waiting for evidence to break that support level, which tells you that buyers are no longer successful in terms of holding support. Buyers are backing out. More sellers are coming to the market. There's now a great chance that price does come back to these lows. So looking for shorts and pullbacks after that would make a lot of sense. Trying to time some shorts here, you do still run the risk that price may still break higher or maybe still get caught in a bit of a range here. So, but of course, the benefits of that is that you're higher up. And if things go very well, you could be looking at a ginormous swing back to lows. So dollar CAD, I do have a short bias. This move looks pretty corrective to me as well. So I'm not so eager to be looking to buying that either. It looks really, really corrective. I think short-term buys maybe, but I wouldn't be looking for a big swing there. And I quite like the supply zone here. Lovely consolidation, really aggressive move down. Push back to 1.384, I think is a sensible place for an opportunity and basically trying to catch another one of these lower highs. If not, yeah, wait for a break of support and a retest, and hopefully we can take to lows, because all I'm looking for price to do is basically just continue this bearish trend which we've had throughout the year. I think since Jan 2025, Jan 25 is over there, so we've just been bearish for the whole year, basically betting on that trend continuing. So dollar CAD still pretty bearish for now. Again, that's my longer term swing. I have to keep an eye on the dollar as well, because that could change things as well. But I'm not quite convinced long term buys just yet for the dollar. I need to see price kind of breaking through structure first, and that will start to convince me. Even a break of structure there is not necessarily going to convince me that price is just going to run to the moon. A break of structure there would tell me that, okay, maybe we do have a bit more juice to the upside. But again, price could do something like that still. So if we do break structure, maybe that puts me bullish for a week or a few days, and then we'll go from there. But at the moment, we are approaching some supply there, so I have to be a bit careful now with the buys. It was a lovely move this morning. Euro dollar not quite doing it. It would have been very similar to the pound trade earlier this week, just looking for price to take the high, then push. Of course, this would just be in the opposite direction. But yeah, I do still see euro falling a little bit further, and then we'll see what price can do at this area. If I did get short on euro, this probably would have been the idea for the trade. Looking for some new lows past that area. Also coming back into significant area demand. Really kickstarted this bullish move. So that would be the target. And pretty decent risk reward setup if you ask me as well. But unfortunately didn't quite come back for the run of the highs. And sometimes this will happen. Sometimes price will just miss a level or miss a confluence and then continue without you. That happens quite a few times. And again, the more tailored, the more detailed or specific your strategy or your criteria is, the more that will happen as well. Having a broader strategy will allow you to take advantage of more moves, but at the same time, you will have more losing trades as well. So it's a bit of a balance. You don't want to be too detailed because trade frequency is quite important as well. You don't want to be taking one trade every 6 months because what's the point in that? At the same time, you don't want to be taking 50 trades every week because that's way too much frequency. You're exposing yourself to way too much risk. So there's a bit of a balance between frequency and quality. And If you can find yourself taking 2-3 trades a week, I think that's a healthy frequency if you're swing or even day trading. Of course, scalping maybe a little bit more than that, but still, you don't want to be doing 20 trades a week. That's too much. Even if you're risking 1% per trade, that's 20% exposure every week. All it takes is a couple bad weeks and you've blown half your count mostly. So yeah, the quality wasn't quite there, but we did see a nice push down there for Euro, which was the plan, but just unfortunately unable to capitalize on it. Just missed that vital confluence of a push up, and we had a very kind of corrective move back down. But going into next week, since of course we've got the weekly candle closing this week, that's really where my focus is going to be now for Friday, because that will help paint a picture in terms of what we could be looking at for next week. So looking at this weekly candle here for Euro, that's not looking healthy at all. Now, price could still potentially go fill the wick next week. Just a wick at highs doesn't necessarily change too much. It does paint the picture that price is failing at highs, yes, but one wick doesn't necessarily give you crazy confidence or crazy confidence that price is going to turn. Sometimes it will, but not in this occasion. We could still fill the wick. So maybe if we again next week provide another wick to the upside, okay, that's something to really read into. 2 big wicks to the upside, yeah. I think the third week we might actually see price sell off. But yeah, we are definitely seeing rejection at the highs. So from a bullish standpoint, that means be careful with the buys. Price tried to continue last week or this week, it failed. So if you're going to be buying again next week, don't be too greedy. Price could still fail at highs again. I mean, we still do have about 11 hours before this candle does close, but yeah, I don't see us filling the wick between now and then. Pound USD, again as well, tried to push up, but of course flipped and now it's closing bearish. I mean, we haven't done anything significant again for pound. Yes, we kind of broke through the highs here, pull back below. So I do think next week we'll still see a bit of downside. But it's not like, okay, this one candle now means that we're just going to absolutely sell off. I'm not seeing anything as significant as that, but it does tell a story that price tried to continue the trend but failed. Perhaps next week we do come back into resistance but sell off again. Dollar CAD, not much from this one. We've already got a lot of wicks to the upside here, so there's a clear sign that price is failing to push through. Bit of a wick to the downside as price came back into support, but all I can really see here for dollar CAD is just consolidation. Not trying to read too much into it. You want the evidence, you want the price action to be obvious. You don't want to be squinting to try and find something or read into something when there's not really much there. And dollar CAD, I would just say price is consolidating. Really came back into support, bounce, not much to take away there. In terms of Aussie dollar, I mean, Aussie dollar is still failing at highs. I mean, altogether, we've still got a very corrective trend here. So I would probably still be keeping a close eye on the shorts here for Aussie dollar. Still keeping a close eye, which also reminds me, one of the signals this morning from Zentrix was some shorts on Aussie dollar, which I was keeping an eye, but I was preferring Euro at the time. Let's see, where was it? Yeah, over here, 0.66018. I was keeping an eye on that one, but it was basically between Euro, Pound, and Aussie in terms of the sales, but I preferred Euro at the time. But then we got that down move. Aussie dropped, Pound dropped, Euro didn't drop as much. So I was focusing a bit more on then, and then it kind of just fills it out afterwards. But same with this one, I think, was at 0.66018. I think the entry was down at the lows here somewhere. Yeah, there pretty much. So this is kind of what I prefer now with Aussie dollar. If we could have a bigger pullback to potentially form another one of these lower highs and then get the short, because we are starting to run out momentum now. And we're kind of seeing signs of that for Euro, kind of seeing signs for that on Pound as well. So I like it if we can get a bigger pullback, come back into these type of areas here and then get the sell off and then get the continuation. That would really be my plan of action there for Aussie dollar going into at this point next week now. You can see how corrected we are there. If we go to the 15-minute chart, yeah, really, really corrective. So it looks like clearly the market's quite tired. And because it's tired, I'll wait for a deeper pullback. And 0.664, 665 would be a good area. But again, from a weekly standpoint, just seeing price fail at highs, not super significant, but it would mean that I'd be a bit cautious with the buys next week. New Zealand dollar, we had a really aggressive sell. Again, hasn't given us too much information on the weekly chart. I would say things are just quite congested, and that just basically looks like consolidation to me. So I wouldn't really look to use that candle too much to my advantage next week. It just looks really flat to me. So not really too interested there. Gold, I think maybe a bit of a wick at the highs. Yeah. A clear steady decline in the momentum there for gold. A lot of strength from the breakout, smaller candle, even smaller. Maybe gold is running out a bit of steam. I mean, it's still very bullish. I still think buys are the best bet. But again, it's a clear sign that I wouldn't be looking for a crazy move for gold. If you can get it back to highs, I think that would be a good trade in itself. And I can imagine silver probably showing some similar signs there as well. Yeah, more of a doji this week anyway. And if I quick look at DXY. Okay, yeah, DXY, huge wick to the downside. So yeah, it's definitely something to take note of. I wouldn't start getting bullish for the big move just yet, but we are coming to areas where if we do break through, I probably will be looking at bullish buys for next week as well. You think DXY is going to reject current level? Talking about the highs here. I mean, we are looking pretty corrective and pretty tight there. I can see price making a move down. Hourly chart also throwing some wicks there as well. Yeah, I can see a move down. Strong supply zone. Could possibly see a move like this happen. Come back to these areas. Maybe some better buying opportunities form there. What's up, Doctor? Yeah, dollar yen is flying from the 4-hour trend line you drawn 2 days back. Have you catch the pullback? And I haven't been looking to trade dollar yen since that low. That's the only position where I wanted to try and get into a long on dollar yen. Because the only reason why I wanted to buy there, because we had the trend line confluence, but also because price was at the low of the range. So entering here is not a good idea for me. If I'm going to enter a range, it has to be at the lows. Entering here is not optimal. This is where all the noise is. So the only way I look to enter dollar yen is if we get back to the lows again. This is not a place where I want to buy. Yesterday high just wicked into that and rejected it. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that wick there would be yesterday's high, yeah, Thursday 18th. I mean, this whole area would be, you know, bearish territory. This is where we had a bit of a consolidation, and then we saw momentum pick up yesterday. So that is where the sellers should be sitting if they're going to try and push price lower. So yeah, I would agree. Of course, my focus is a bit more tailored to this area, but this whole area here is significant for the bears right now. But yeah, I can see price starting to struggle at highs, potentially a lower high forming already over there. I mean, I wouldn't really be looking to short the dollar right now, but I wouldn't be looking to buy at this moment. I think buys look way better down there. but I don't see price making that move in 1 week. And 1 week, 1 day. Waiting game on gold today. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure if gold does get its move today. I think well, gold needs a little bit of a catalyst. Don't really have that this afternoon. I mean, we could still get it, of course, but we're going to need a bit of a kick because you can see how consistent gold's been with all these lower highs. So for gold to really get the ball rolling, we're going to need that kick to break out of that sequence, break out of that counter trend line, and that's where gold can make its move. If gold does fail at the trend line and has another push down, that could be a nice opportunity. But of course, you've got to watch out going into the end of the week, because if you do make that move down and you find some entries, you're probably going to be entering close to the end of the day. Not the best time to be holding onto a swing, well, not even a swing position, an intraday position over the weekend. Might be best to wait for Monday at that point. Good morning, Lenny. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Okay, Monday, Tuesday fall, midweek pullback, then end, sell again on the dollar. Okay. There's a chance to maybe though. Isn't that the story of trading, Bashi? There's the chance it could be the other way around. That's literally the same for every setup you'll ever say. But the thing is not necessarily getting the directions right, it's getting the opportunity right, because sometimes you'll be coming into the market for bullish bias, something happens that switches, and if you can manage to take advantage of the same trade in the opposite direction, if you still walk away with a W, it doesn't really matter necessarily what the bias you had coming into the market, as long as you were able to pivot when you needed to. Sometimes you need to stick with the bias, sometimes you need to change, and that's really the important thing, really. But yeah, it's so true. It could be the other way around. It very much could be the other way around. Lenny, did I say good morning? I think I did. Yeah, what's up? Deity, I'm wondering you need the editor. Not at the moment, my man, but I appreciate the concern. Yep, Gerald, we can take a look at Euro, no problem. Good. How's your morning? Not bad. I mean, pretty slow. Not really anything kicking off, to be honest. I was keeping an eye on Euro, so that's kind of where my focus was a lot this morning, but Euro just didn't want to pull back for me, unfortunately. So, yeah, not a lot happening in that department. But other than that, being a pretty routine morning. Cannot complain. So, yeah, in terms of EURUSD, let me know what time frames you're working on as well, so I can be a bit more tailored to the time frame you're looking at, because I've kind of got different biases for different time scales for Euro, because at the moment the market is still very bullish. Yes, we've had that really kind of exaggerated reaction at the high there, which is making me a little bit cautious, but of course we are still putting in these higher lows. So down in this area here, this is definitely a bullish area, and if you're looking for opportunities, I'll keep an eye out for some buys. Too early to say now, but that could be an area where we do see price potentially put a higher low in and rally again. And from a intraday point of view, I quite like the sells coming into day, because we had price create that resistance. I was looking for price to run it and then have a bit of a sell-off. Unfortunately, didn't quite have enough juice to make that move up. I was looking at the market around 7 a.m. there, so it didn't quite make the move back to the highs, unfortunately. But yeah, very nice conviction. I mean, we haven't taken up the lows yet, so we could still have a move up, but I'm not as keen on the move anymore. I wanted to take it kind of 9 a.m. time. But yeah, for euro dollar now, I would say keep an eye on resistance. If you're looking for shorts, this is where you want to be looking to position yourself. And if you are looking for buys, we are coming back into a nice area of confluence just below us, around 1.175. And that's your area. But again, too early to say if we're going to bounce there. We're only just arriving there. I kind of want to let price consolidate a little bit, test that area, see what the moves are looking like. Is momentum still picking up? Are we finding support? Are wicks forming? Those are the type of questions I want to be asking myself. But those are the areas I'm keeping an eye on. So now it's just up to price to actually get to those areas and then start to trade there. And that's when we justify if there's a solid opportunity for a buy or a solid opportunity for a sell. Keeping your eyes on pound USD. Okay, yeah, I'm keeping an eye on pound USD as well. What's your bias on pound? I was really bullish at the start of the week, but I'm definitely leaning towards more of a bullish bias now, bearish bias now. Okay, 4 hour, yeah. So from a 4 hour perspective, this is where my interest would be, looking at some buys off that zone. As price comes here, it's still quite corrective. So it's not like we've seen aggressive selling pressure. I'd say price looks quite slow here. So I would suggest keep an eye on that area. There could be some nice buys probably next week here. But that's where my focus would be. And if Euro does run through this, then that's why I'll probably back away a little bit. Because especially taking into account that price has just ripped through highs and now aggressively had a bit of a sell-off, that's not really what you want to see as a buyer. So yeah, a break of that would at least make me pause. But yeah, if we can hold, the story is different, and there could be some really nice buys back into the high and maybe beyond that as well. I appreciate it, Bashi. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out. Of course, subscribe to the channel as well, and make sure you do hit the bell. But yeah, for pound USD, I am pretty bearish on this one. At least, again, for the next few days, not necessarily long term. We still do have a bullish market to a degree here. I would say we're starting to become a bit flat now. It might be a situation where this turns into a big consolidation. I could see that happening. You could really argue that is happening. Very clear uptrend there. Now we've just become quite flat here with pound USD. So the plan was coming into the week, okay, if we break through this zone here, we are probably going to make a move back to the highs. That was the plan. And we did probably fulfill about 75% of that plan before price did come crashing back down after the Fed, after the Bank of England. Interest rates are now back below the high again. So the way I see it, this looks like a big fake out to me. And now that price is back below the level, I'm now looking for a retest of that same zone or a retest of a smaller area on the 50-minute chart here. Depends how aggressive the momentum is. If the market is really aggressive and we're not seeing deep pullbacks because we might not get the retest of that zone, then maybe the retest of this area is something we have to keep into consideration, and dropping to a 50-minute chart might be the best possible opportunity to actually take advantage of that momentum. Or if you do get a slight deeper pullback, then I do like this area here. Price has tested it on numerous occasions. Another push back into that level I think is a significant level for a short, and this is where I do see price making its move towards. So pound USD, short bias for now. Next few days is what I'm looking at. Really aggressive sell-off. I like the high here with that wick. As long as price doesn't regain strength and break back above this zone, I do have a short bias and I do see price making a move back to these lows here. So that's kind of my take on pound for now. Pound USD maybe starting a strong correction. What direction do you mean the correction? A correction for sellers or correction for buyers? I mean, at the moment now, the market looks just a bit flat right now. I haven't seen much momentum up or down since the drop we had this morning. I mean, I would be looking at a correction, a pullback for the sellers in terms of looking for a pullback of that move. But it's a little bit too early to say just yet. I mean, we are trading at some significant lows to our left here. That could potentially give us the pullback I'm looking for. But again, I haven't really seen much momentum come into play. So I need to be patient with that. But in terms of my watch list going into next week, pound USD probably will be in. Of course, I'll wait for the weekly candle to confirm things, but most likely shorts on pound USD is what I'll be looking at. Euro, I might leave Euro alone, to be honest, just because the 50-minute move hasn't played out to how I wanted it to do. And I'm not the biggest fan of the buys at the low of that trend line. I just think it's just a little bit too close for highs. So pound USD I'll keep an eye on. Dollar CAD I'll keep an eye on, just for the pullback opportunity and the potential lower high forming over here. Potentially some shorts after that. Aussie dollar, I'll keep an eye. This, I think I'll focus a bit more intraday for Aussie dollar. I like the pullback opportunities and the short bias. Just looking for downside because it looks like price has just had another kind of failed attempt to really break through highs and continue. We've got the highs over there. Price did manage to rip through them, but we've just come straight back down. So I do think we have a bit of downside to go and clear. So Aussie dollar shorts, that could be a nice opportunity at the start of next week. In terms of, is that it for USD? Yeah, dollar CHF I'm not really interested in. I was at the start of the week, but we didn't get that pullback I was looking for back into this zone. I was hoping for one more push up and then the sell, but we just started off really bearish and just collapsed. Now we've had a really big recovery. Let me look at dollar CHF intraday. Okay, that was yesterday. So yeah, dollar CHF intraday, really nice bullish move. We are coming back into supply now, so it's a bit more awkward here for longs, because I would probably expect a pullback. But yeah, I would like to see how price does pull back. It could end up being a nice buy still. So I'll still keep an eye on dollar CHF, but again, that's probably a nice intraday pullback for next week. I think there's still a bit of momentum we can take advantage of there. But yeah, be a bit careful as we do approach these areas of supply, because we have been extremely consistent with all of these lower highs. I wouldn't be surprised if another one does print. But after we've taken out that low, had the really aggressive reaction, yeah, I do think there's still some intraday buy opportunities there, taking advantage of some short-term USD strength for now. We'll see if that sustains or not. So that will probably be something I'll keep an eye on intraday next week. And in terms of some of the crosses, I do still like Aussie CAD longs. I still kept that in the back of my mind because I haven't really seen a good setup for it yet. We've had a bit of a sell-off with this these bearish candles, which again, very much anticipated. I've been talking about Aussie CAD being a pair that has a lot of deep corrections. It doesn't really sustain big moves for a while. It will revert back on itself. Just look at the nature of the market. So after this really impressive bullish move, expecting a top to form at some point and somewhat of a pullback, and we've got that now. And I mentioned a couple areas which I like the longs from. I said this area being one, I said this area being two. So those are the two areas I'm keeping a close eye on for the buys for Aussie CAD, but not really seeing a setup to enter just yet. I like the move. Kind of want price to maybe sweep the lows first, or maybe even have a deeper correction, and then maybe something like this I look to pick up for a long and trade that back to highs. That could be something I look into. But yeah, Aussie CAD, very bullish bias. I do think price long term is still likely to come back to the highs all the way up there, 0.935. So the way I see it, longs look really good, really nice impulsive move, just looking for a pullback of that. And those are the two areas which I'll keep a very close eye going into next week. I was also quite interested to see if I can long New Zealand CAD as well, but after the gigantic sell-off we had this week, yeah, New Zealand CAD longs don't look good at all. Nice consolidation, really aggressive breakout, but this is not the place where I want to be looking to try and, not necessarily not the place, but not the type of conditions which I want to be trying to look to long. Really aggressive move up, really aggressive move down, sort of like an inverse V shape, which is more of a pattern that resembles more downside rather than upside. So New Zealand CAD, I'm pausing. It's really the weakness we saw early in the week from NZD, which has made this a bit awkward. I do think there could be a short-term buy, but that's it. I'll keep it short-term. This is way too aggressive for it to be a retracement. I like my retracement slow, almost range-bound. This is really impulsive and really aggressive. So not a big fan on the buys in New Zealand CAD, which is interesting because New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD are very similar pairs. So if I'm looking to buy Aussie CAD, 8 times out of 10, I'm looking to buy New Zealand CAD as well. In this case, that's not the case. But nonetheless, Aussie CAD still looks good until that's proven otherwise. I'll still be looking to try and trade Aussie CAD back to highs. In terms of some of the other crosses, so Euro CAD, I've kept an eye on this one for the shorts. Looking for that kind of reversal opportunity, but I have to be extremely careful here. I would suggest that price is still looking quite flat here, which is more of a bullish sign than a bearish one. If I drop intraday, I actually quite like this opportunity. Something like that. Again, I don't really look to try and trade crosses intraday. I kind of want to stick to yeah, we can take a look at Euro. I kind of want to stick to USD major pairs, because spread and just overall kind of smoothness of how the market moves is a lot better. Sometimes the crosses can be really corrective and spread is not great either. So Euro CAD, if this was Euro dollar, I'll be all over it. And this is basically what I was looking for Euro dollar as well. If you go take a look at Euro dollar intraday, that's exactly what I was looking to trade. I mean, of course, Euro CAD hasn't done it yet, but this was the idea for Euro dollar. Another push back to highs. There's your short, and there's the move I was looking to take. So Euro USD for the day, there's your lower high, there's your aggressive move. And that's really the area which I was trying to look to position myself short. At the moment, the market is just kind of steadily falling. I do think the market's still likely to rip through the lows there, but it would be nice if we could see one more up move back into highs and then get the short. That's really where I want to position myself, get a stop loss above, and basically trying to find the next lower high in this bearish sequence. But of course, being extremely careful, because we are still in an uptrend. So not looking to shoot for the moon, just keeping a close eye in this area, because anywhere in here, that is where price can very much find support and continue. So being very, very careful of that. And as I said, I'm not really so concerned with the buys at the moment because of where we're trading. I know the trend is up, but it's a really aggressive rejection at the highs. So that does put me off the trade from a swing bias. But intraday, shorts is definitely where my focus was this morning. Unless we can get there again, I probably would just call it a day with Euro, to be honest, because we're not really trading at an area which is doing much for me. You know, this is really where I want to see price make a move and then catch the sell at the high. Right now we're looking extremely flat, which is kind of the same vibe we have with Euro CAD as well. Really flat on the way down. So I would like the idea of price running the highs, maybe pushing to that supply zone, and then getting the continuation there. And that might line up with some resistance to our left there, which could play into our hands very, very well. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Euro. It would have been nice if DXY hadn't taken out the high as well, but we have done that just about. I like it when the DXY, let's say if we're bullish on the DXY, and the DXY has a pullback, and then I'm expecting DXY to continue back to highs. I like it when price hasn't quite taken out the highs yet, because my bet on the dollar is that price is going to make a move back to highs and take them out. So once price does that, then the bet is over. Price did its job. Now it's kind of, okay, what's the next move? Is it reversal? Is it a continuation? Are we going to start to flatten out now? I don't know. So I like it when dollar hasn't taken out highs yet. And of course, Euro dollar hasn't taken out lows yet. Because then that's my bet for both of them, that they both will continue back to lows. Well, Euro can continue back to lows and dollar continue back to highs. So that's the move I'm trying to take advantage of. If dollar already creates new highs, then there's an opportunity for the dollar to now pull back, which means that Euro might not eventually take out the lows there. So that's the other side. That's where it could become a bit of a disadvantage. If dollar takes out the highs and Euro hasn't taken out the lows by then we could see something like that happen. But when they both haven't, there's a nice opportunity there. So yeah, for the buys for the dollar, I think I'll probably wait for this now, 97.1. Because at the moment, price is kind of trading in area of demand, area of supply right now, where we got these lower highs. That's not really where I want to get involved. Sniper, okay, you got a position for gold. Okay, we can take a look. $36.52, 36. Okay, cool. Okay, we can have a look. What's good, Lighton? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing good. Okay, so gold. Let's have a look. See. Okay, so 36.52.4. And then 36.72. Okay. Where's your stops for the position? I'm assuming your stops probably underneath the low here, maybe, or this low. I mean, probably risk reward ain't looking great with it below those lows, so that would make a bit more sense in terms of risk reward, at least. Of course, that will give you the most room to play in. Okay, Euro sells New York. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on that as well. I'll keep an eye. I need that up move first, though. Hey, good to hear, Lighton. What were you looking? You were looking at Euro Pound yesterday, weren't you? Euro Pound, which was very interesting this morning. Euro was a lot stronger than Pound, and then that changed really drastically. Okay, 36.49. Okay, very tight stop loss. But the risk to reward is looking pretty good though. Probably what, like a 1 to 7, 6, 7, something like that. Okay, so I can see a stop loss underneath this low there. Makes sense. Give yourself a bit of wiggle room as well. Yeah, I mean, I do have that bias with gold. I am looking upside for gold. Personally, I'm looking either for push to this low or that low before buying. Just because we're looking a little bit dry right now, but I can see the zone you're looking to try and bet on for price to continue, which makes sense as well. But of course, we have to be careful with these low highs that gold's been making too. But I do see gold pushing up. I really like the candlesticks and how they formed in the higher time frame. A lot of rejection to the lows, a lot of wicks, really strong close as well. I do bet that gold does see some more upside here. So pretty bullish going forward with gold. Personally, I would wait for a deeper retracement. But nonetheless, smart area for a long, and targets more or less coming back into a major high as well, which makes sense. Not necessarily looking for the home run all the way back to highs, but push back into this area, I think is a pretty safe bet as well. Did see a very significant move from that zone too, so I would say price has a good bet of coming back there. Oh, runaway Euro Pound. Can you just check it? Let's see. Okay, no problem. Yeah, Euro Pound. I said I just wasn't really interested too much in Euro Pound. So I just wasn't really focusing too much on the pair. Okay. We did end up seeing that retest there though. I wasn't really feeling it because of how flat the market has been, but it did play out pretty well. And again, another sharp move this morning as well. So yeah, with euro pound, okay, so it looks like we're steadily gaining a bit of momentum, but of course we're still going to be greeted with major resistance above our heads there. So I wouldn't get too excited. We do have a very lovely uptrend, which of course has been in a bit of a range. We could see the continuation of that trend. What I would like to see would be a strong break of the high. That will convince me that, okay, the trend is alive. Euro pound's probably likely to continue. Or of course, I like to see the opposite, break into the downside. That will show to us that, okay, we've topped out. Now we could probably see a really comfortable bearish trend on the way back down. That would interest me as well. But really, anywhere in here is not really doing it quite for me. I mean, potentially price could be forming another lower high here. We've got one there, second there. Maybe price just wick the high here to form another one. And maybe price does have a bit of a sell here, because after all, this is a really corrected move up. So I'm not so keen to follow this. There's not really any momentum here that tells me that this is the rebirth of the trend and price is just about a breakout now. I mean, that could be the case, of course. Can't see into the future, but I don't really have any evidence to really support that until we get the breakout. So I could potentially see this being a lower high, 1, 2, 3. Price kind of maybe spiking the high, getting people caught on the wrong side there before we do have the follow through. So this would be a smart place for a short, especially some stops above the high. It would be a smart place for a short, and especially kind of coming back into some supply to our left here, because this is really where the momentum came from, that last move, and then a really aggressive sell. Now we've just about wicked into that over there. So not a bad play for a short, a little bit aggressive, trying to go against the grain, but if you do catch a nice short here, you do put yourself in a great place to take advantage of a swing back into major support. Maybe a trend does reverse as well. But altogether, I would still just wait for the breakout. Then the guessing, the and the R kind of goes away really, because if I can see a break like that, I know exactly what I'm looking to do. And likewise, with a break to the highs. I mean, a short-term move, you don't have to necessarily look for a big swing to the lows, but I think a short-term sell back to some of these areas could make some sense. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with euro pound for now. Not my favorite pair, but that's my 2 pence. Hey, what's up, Yusuf? Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Good to see you, good to see you. Okay, looking to buy gold. Okay, do you want to take any more positions today? Fair enough. Managing risk, definitely important as well. It's not always about just taking the next best trade. Sometimes you got to protect yourself. I mean, I say sometimes, all the time you got to protect yourself. Hey, what's up, Pavinator? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing... Someone's looking forward to the weekend. Wrong bet on Aussie dollar. Okay. In for a sell. Okay. I do have somewhat of a sell bias as well for Aussie dollar. Not necessarily looking for a crazy move, but maybe a day or two we could see some more weakness for Aussie dollar. So I do have a bearish bias with that pair as well. Okay, we can take a look at that position. After I had it placed, yeah, it's like price wait for you to put the trade in and then have the bull run. It do be like that sometimes. Yes, Yusuf, Euro G15, sure thing. No problem, Lighton. Happy to help. Okay, we'll take a look at both of those pairs. We'll go for Aussie dollar as well. So, yeah, Aussie dollar had a crazy bullish move. Aussie was quite strong. USD a little bit weakness, but that, of course, did turn around midweek with the Fed interest rates coming into play. Aggressive wick to the upside, and price has pretty much turned on a dime, and now it's starting to actually trade back below this high here. So I do quite like the shorts here for Aussie dollar, and intraday I was keeping a close eye on some opportunities in this area. Of course, we're still quite far away, but that's really the area which I quite like for shorts. Probably a setup maybe for next week at this point in time. It's going to take a lot of effort for us to get up and back down before today ends. It's already coming into the New York session, so I think we're a little bit late for that to happen today, but certainly Monday, Tuesday could see that happen. This looks really corrective for me, so I'm not quite convinced about shorts the market right now, But if we can push higher, take out some of the weaker highs there, tap into some more significant areas, there is a good opportunity to try and catch maybe another lower high to form. And from there, we can see price continue. And all I'm really looking at is maybe that price is still very much stuck in this corrective phase. And all price has done is just sweep the highs and now is getting ready for another pullback. Because I'm not really convinced with the longevity of this trend here. It's not like Aussie dollar's been trending well and we've been seeing healthy momentum. This is really corrective stuff. So because of that, I do think Aussie still has a bit more downside left. Maybe the bigger move is still with the buyers, but at least wait for us to start approaching these areas before being a bit more cautious with the buyers. I think anywhere around 0.656, 654, we could see price bounce, but we're not quite there yet. I do think there's opportunities to trade it towards that area. So that's kind of where I'm at with Aussie for now. In terms of EURUSD 15-minute, I was looking for some shorts for this guy, but I just wasn't playing ball this morning. I had a level here at 1.179, which I was keeping a close eye on for a short. I was looking for price to run the highs and then get the sell. But unfortunately, that wasn't meant to be. Lovely bearish move yesterday, and your price came back into that area of supply there, and a really aggressive move down, which is what set up the bearish bias for today. Because of course, yesterday we had this aggressive bullish move. I said, watch out with the buys over here. And we had a really aggressive move back down, breaking the low. And all I was looking for today was basically the continuation of that move. But also being careful, because I can clearly see Euro is still bullish. You know, despite the bearish move we had yesterday, it hasn't done anything significant to turn this bullish trend into a bearish one. So as price does approach these areas, I would heavily suggest be careful, especially if you do have a short bias, because we could see buyers step in and maybe a high low does form and maybe the trend does continue. So this was the opportunity I was eyeing up this today for Euro. Because we're very close to lows, I'm not too sure if I'll still pay interest to that. I'll see how we develop through New York, but it might be an opportunity which I've kind of missed there, or not really missed because it didn't really set up, so there's nothing really there to miss. But we've had an established move lower. So with Aussie dollar, I'm now concerned not Aussie dollar, sorry, with Euro dollar. I'm now concerned what we do at this area here. Does price find support? Do we start to maybe consolidate? There could be some buys here. If of course price does still come crashing down and breaks through this area, well, then that's really interesting, because that would make me back away from the buys, especially taking into account that price has just ripped through these highs and aggressively sold off as well. So a break of that would put me off the buys altogether, and we might be seeing some bigger sells. So yeah, definitely keep an eye to see if that can hold or not. In terms of pound USD, I quite like the sells of pound. I really quite like the sells of pound. Really aggressive move down. Again, all I've been looking for pound USD is what price can do at both of these levels. I've been talking about pound just being stuck in a range for a few weeks. Equal lows, equal highs. Price just been bouncing back and forth, back and forth. We finally saw a breakout here, but it just didn't last very long. The price did have a pretty established breakout, but yesterday we closed back below. So the way I see it, this looks like a big fake out to me. This looks like a really big fake out, and now price is back cleanly below the low, the high of the range. So now I do have a short bias, and now I'm looking for pullback, some more downside back into this zone. So the opportunities I'm now considering for pound USD is something like this now. Either a pullback, actually let me start on the hourly chart. Either a pullback back into the high of the range here. So price pulls back to the high of the range and I look for some shorts here. Or if the market's going to be very aggressively bullish, very aggressively bearish, and not see a big enough pullback, then I will look at this zone here. Brief consolidation, nice push down. I wouldn't mind some shorts on the retest of that zone as well. So I'm pretty bearish on pound. I like what I'm seeing, a lot of conviction this morning, and especially yesterday. I'm just looking for the pullback and the continuation of that, or the retest of the high of the range. Either way, as long as price stays below this level now, I do have a short bias and potentially could be seeing a push back to the low end of the range, which would take us all the way back to 1.338. So yeah, pound USD, euro, I would say I'm bearish on those for now, the next day or two, not necessarily long term. It's a little bit too early to say that for me, but next day or two, I do think a bit more downsides there, maybe before some buys do set up later on. So that's kind of what I'm leaning to. Pound USD especially, this one looks, I like this, the technicals for this one. So I'm leaning a bit more to pound now. But yeah, really aggressive move down. I do think we can see a little bit more downside there for pound. Again, I think these setups will be for early next week now. I'm not too sure if we'll get the necessary pullbacks between now and the end of the day. Fair value gap on euro before the full Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, it was a really aggressive move. So, I don't know. I mean, it could be a top. It could be a top for euro. We've been bullish since the start of the year. Since Jan 2025, that's where we're forming the lows here. And now we've had a really, really aggressive move. You know, we broke out this whole range we were in for about 2 years. Jan 2023 to Jan 2025, basically. And now we've broken out, come back into big areas here on the monthly chart. You know, is this price potentially forming a lower high here? Is this another lower high? We're in an area where it kind of does make sense for one to form. Could at least see a push down. Might not necessarily be a lower high in terms of, okay, we have to now make this move. That could be the case as well, but you know, a lot of us are not looking to hold a trade for that long, so we're not really too worried about price making that move. But what we could be concerned about is, okay, is this potentially a brief top to this trend? Could we see maybe a counter trend form? Yeah, we definitely could see that. And it would make sense for one to form. So yeah, it's definitely something you have to take into consideration. I would still, again, wait for price to really go and break some structure first on like a 4-hour chart. So if price can go and like really break through this, maybe take out some of these lows, that would really indicate to me, okay, sellers are really into the market, buyers are starting to weaken, and then some pullbacks of that would make a lot of sense to me. We've got some signs that could be the case. Now I just need a bit more conviction, then yeah, hopefully early next week the sells do make a lot of sense. But I can see where you're coming from, Sniper. No problem, happy to help. Yeah, pound not looking good. After the Bank of England yesterday, we had the first hit from USD, and then the second hit from pound. And yeah, pound USD completely tanked. Really wanted GJ to hold above 201. Yeah, that's kind of what we needed for GJ bullish bias. I mean, I needed price to really break out, but it came crashing back down. So now I'm not so convinced with the buys, especially with how the weekly's looking. You know, all I'm seeing is wicks, momentum dying, rejection. You know, we could very much see price double top here and sell off. And if I drop back to the 4-hour chart, you can see the frequency of every time price does create a new high, we really, really struggle. You know, we keep just forming these highs and then price comes straight back down. Then we had a really aggressive one yesterday. So I wouldn't be too surprised to form a lower high and price to continue lower. You know, this corrective nature here is not something that gets me excited for buys, which is why I was hoping that after this big move on Thursday, price would just have another big push and really break out. Then that'll say, okay, we've kind of broken out of this phase, and now the buyers are really entered the market. So now, you know, I have permission to look for pullbacks on the way up. But of course, we didn't get that. The news came out a bit mixed at the start, but then yeah, price definitely picked its direction after that, and just about worked through the lows here. So I can see price potentially pulling back around 200.39, maybe testing this supply zone and having another sell. In that case, some of these lows could be some smart targets. but I have to see how price retraces. If it's an aggressive up move, I wouldn't take that. If it's nice and slow corrective, sure, we could look for some opportunities. But yeah, I'm not convinced with the bias right now of pound. I needed pound yen. I need to see price really give me that that forceful breakout to really say that, okay, yeah, we've really cleared resistance, momentum's arrived, let's go. But no, we came straight back on our face. Of course, that could still happen. Just because we did sell off yesterday doesn't mean we can't suddenly, you know, gain that momentum back again. We could do, but yeah, as of yet, that's not the case. So yeah, I'm quite skeptical of pound buys. Like, of course, if you drop to the lower time frames, there might be a short-term pound yen buy, but in terms of the swing, I'm not too sure we do continue. Yeah, I mean, it didn't provide. I mean, it did provide some strength. Pound has been pretty strong, at least compared to euro. Nothing crazy though. Maybe fake out on GJ sad times. Could be. That's the impression I'm getting. Especially a company with what pound USD did. They both had a really aggressive move down. Pound CAD did that as well. A lot of these pound pairs kind of had a really aggressive sell-offs here. You can see pound CAD not loving life too well here. Aggressive move back to the high, shot back down. So it does look like pound's having a really tough time across the board. So I wouldn't really want to be a buyer of pound right now. If anything, some intraday pullbacks could make sense, and just taking advantage of a small snippet of that momentum, I think, will be the best play. Whether you're looking to short pound CAD, pound yen, pound USD, I think that provides similar opportunities. Yusuf, yeah, we could take a look at Aussie CAD 15 as well, no problem. Okay, yeah, you do pound USD, pound yen, pound Swiss. Is that the pairs you look at, Bashi? Okay, let's have a look at Aussie CAD. Okay, so Aussie CAD 15. Yeah, I mean, it's the same idea, Yusuf. I'm still looking for that big swing there for Aussie CAD. Lovely breakout. Price cleared the highs really aggressively. Now I'm looking for a pullback for more upside. You've got a major high over there. Great. I'm looking for the retest of that, or this level here for the continuation. So that's what I'm looking at from like a daily 4-hour point of view, and I'm looking for more of a complex pullback to form before I do jump in. I know price is testing the level right now, but we just had one clean down move. I need a bit more than that to judge if the buys are fully, you know, developed. But at the moment, not much information to really indicate that. So I would still say that things look pretty bearish here. And yesterday I mentioned Aussie CAD still looks pretty good for the sells. We didn't really pretty aggressively. I would suggest from a 50-minute perspective, sells are still your best bet. Not stells. Sells are still your best bet. I would say we look quite fatigued right here, so I wouldn't be shorting now. But let's say if we can find some momentum, I do think something like that could look good. I mean, I don't think the sells will be the bigger move in terms of, okay, I'm expecting price to completely come down, although that could still be the case. But I wouldn't be trying to find some buys and trying to pick the low here on the 15. I think that, you know, puts you on the back foot straight away. Momentum's quite bearish right now. This is the momentum I'll be trying to take advantage of. So Aussie CAD 15, I would say we're looking quite tired now. This is clearly where the momentum came in. That's clearly our last swing high in this trend. I'll be looking for a pullback back into an area like this, 0.916, 915, and see if I can find the next lower high to take it back into lows and maybe further. I think the buys are still under what's the word I'm looking for? Still not fully there yet. I think it's still a little bit too early to be jumping into the buy. Unless you're looking for a very short-term move, then maybe. But I wouldn't be looking for like a push back to highs. I think it's too early to say. Okay, true. Okay, yeah, and EURUSD. You got good memory. I mean, it's not a lot to memorize. Just the thing is, I remember pound CHF because it's such an obscure pair. Because I don't know a lot of people who trade pound CHF, so that's why I remember that one. And then you just said pound pairs, so pound yen, pound USD are the first two popped in my mind. And I know you've mentioned them before too. So it's more so connecting the dots rather than completely just memorizing. But I will take that though. Thank you. But yeah, I did forget euro as well. But it has been an interesting week. It has been an interesting week. We've had big news events, a lot of interesting moves. Dollars done a lot of whipsaw type of actions. We've been looking pretty bearish, pretty bullish. So he needs to stay on your toes this week. I don't think next week is going to be as impactful. I mean, it just can't be. We've had about 4 or 5 interest rate decisions this week. So I don't see that happening next week. Let me have a quick look. We do have CAD news this afternoon. So if you are trading CAD pairs, do keep in mind that we have news at, I think, 1:30. Yeah, 1:30 UK time. But yeah, quick scan of next week. Tuesday, we got some early Aussie news in the morning, PMI. Late in the afternoon, you got Euro PMI, Pound PMI as well. This is Tuesday next week, by the way. And then you do have some USD manufacturing PMI as well. That's in the afternoon. And you got a speech from Powell, so I would keep an eye on that one. That could be a bit noisy. And then Wednesday, not much Wednesday. New home sales, not really a significant event which I'll keep an eye on. Of course, it could move the market a bit, but I wouldn't be too worried about that one. Oh, Swiss interest rate decision. That's one to keep an eye on. That's a bit slept on. Swiss interest rate can be quite a big impacting news event. Rates are expected to stay the same, but I'll still keep a very close eye on Swiss. That's Thursday morning, by the way, 8:30 a.m. Then following that, we do have jobless claims in the afternoon. We've got GDP growth rate for USD as well, durable goods. So a bunch of news in the afternoon on Thursday. And then Friday, we've got PCE for USD as well, 1:30. So I'd say a bit of news here and there, nothing crazy. I think Swiss is definitely a big one to keep an eye, especially if you trade Swiss pairs, which I do. So I definitely want to keep an eye on that. Apart from that, pretty steady, of course, coming from a big week. Coming from a big week this week. Yeah, true. But you're a mod, Bashi. You're a mod, Bashi. So I've got to pay extra attention. Yeah, hopefully next week will settle down as well. That's kind of what I'm counting on as well. Better direction as well. Yeah, I don't know either. Oh, speaking Monday. Okay, did not see that one. So is this the first kind of press conference since the interest rate? I just thought maybe it just wasn't in the calendar, but normally it's after it's happened. What time is that? Okay, yeah. Wait, no? Okay, yeah, 1:30 UK time. So yeah, I mean, I just thought it happened anyway, but it just wasn't on the calendar. But no, we got some interesting events next week. Keep an eye on. I appreciate it, Bashi. Appreciate it, my man. Okay, so yeah, I mean, going into next week, I mean, I'll do my analysis on the weekend as always, forecasting the week ahead, especially with intraday. I kind of play it day by day. I don't want to forecast too much intraday because things can change a lot, especially in the 15. So I'll do my analysis for the week ahead in terms of like the 4-hour chart as per usual. In terms of like intraday opportunities, I think I'll just do that morning of really, just so I'm not too kind of forecasting because things can change quite quickly, and I'd rather just come up with the analysis and the bias on the day. In terms of the 4-hour swing, I can spot that a week ahead and wait for those setups to pan out. So I'll post my analysis on Saturday, looking at kind of the swing opportunities for the week as always, and kind of recapping this week and any positions I did take. I only did take one position, the pound USD break even midweek, so a bit of a slow one, but it was a decent position. Just unfortunately was chilled out unfortunately beforehand. Maybe another parallel universe would have held it, but hey, woulda, shoulda, coulda. On to the new position next week. Yeah, I'm doing like an experiment with the 15 next few months, see how that goes. I've been testing behind the scenes, but in terms of live trading, it's always a little bit more interesting. So I'm experimenting with the 15 for the next few months. Not hardcore. It's just for opportunities which I'll look at on the 4-hour chart anyway, but maybe I don't get a deep enough pullback to get entries on the 4 hours I normally would. So I'll use the 15 and I'll just keep it with the USD majors for now. I wouldn't be looking at any of the crosses for now. Just keep it with the big boys, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, 15, a lot more opportunities I'll be keeping a close eye on. But yeah, guys, we have come to the end of the stream. I will be posting my analysis on the weekend, so do look out for that as always. But I do appreciate each and everyone tuning in, chatting with myself, and liking the stream and subscribing. That does really help out, so I do really appreciate it. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Rest up, ready for the week ahead. It's been an interesting one, so hopefully next week it's an interesting one as well, but at least a profitable, interesting one. But yeah, guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And I'll catch you all in the new week.
Six AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. Exi, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.